want you. Heart just for a minute, come by and let me feel it, cause you are my love.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to Thursday Night Live.
Yeah.
Hi, Pastor Garrett.
Hey, Steven.
We are, we're a little bit of a lag, so no one's
Are we?
watching, really.
Oh, okay.
But they will in a
It's just me and you.
Just in 40 seconds, just in case we have to hit the bleep button.
Right. Which is actually pretty often that we're bleeping ourselves in here.
Exactly. Will. It's just us tonight. No Will, not our,
That's
our
right.
executive producer.
Yep.
He had to work, so...
Just me and Steven hanging out in the studio.
Yeah.
Which...
No blue backdrop.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about
But,
that.
yeah. Different camera, so it's like wider,
yeah.
and I was like, we're just gonna get rid of it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, this is a different setup, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think about it. Maybe we'll switch it up I got a green screen I could pull down. Maybe we can be in Hawaii next month.
Sounds great.
Right.
Post-Easter, like, we'll pretend to take a vacation.
Yeah.
And
And then in the summer we'll be in like snow because it'll be hot here.
Right. We'll be in Mammoth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So it's been a month since we had our last Thursday Night Live.
Yeah, our blooper-filled first 15 minutes of scrambling to try to fix it.
So, yeah, there's been a lot.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Yeah. We're, what are we, 3 days away?
Right, 3 days.
From a return to indoor worship, so that's a big deal.
Right. Huge deal. It's been since last June. Right? Or
Yeah.
were we in there in July?
Nope.
No, June.
We didn't even make it through our sermon series, I remember. We came in,
right.
started a new sermon series. It was the Holy Habits sermon series, and I think we got 5 weeks into a 6-week series.
Right.
And like week 5, it was,
right.
You're done. Yeah, that was discouraging.
Very.
So
excellent connection right now. That's
good.
Great to hear. So
June was the last time we were back in the sanctuary as a congregation, and prior to that, it was actually before I ever got here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Your first sermon was totally online.
Yeah, it was to a camera. It was really awkward, and now I'm used to it.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm just.
Going on.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We can hear ourselves.
It's the Holy Habits.
Yeah. Oh, that's the display.
Thanks, Steve. I think we got 5.
Here we go. Just trying to pull up comments in case you're watching and you want to leave a comment and ask a question of some sort. You could do that. But, so we're back in the sanctuary, starting this.
We're back in the game.
We are excited. I think we were just talking before we went live. We're like tired. We're really tired right now.
Yeah.
And
trying to get everything ready.
Yeah, we just moved the camera.
Live stream camera got moved.
I got like dust all over me right now.
Yeah.
And we've had some work in the sanctuary.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, no.
The shot looks great.
Yeah, if you're gonna be at home this week live streaming, you should notice that it's a better angle.
Yeah, if you haven't, we've had the camera up quite high, up in the balcony.
Right.
And so when there's no one in the sanctuary, it works out okay because we're still able to orient ourselves to look upwards. But when people are in the sanctuary, I was looking at our June live stream the other day, and we're when we're just focused on those who are in the room.
Yeah.
It's you look and you're like, wait a second, they're looking down. Yeah.
Right.
So it'd be helpful to move that down, that camera level down, so that it feels like you're there.
We played with, I think it's like 3 or 4 feet lower is what we're coming at now, and won't get in the way of heads or anything like that. So that's always or lights because we have some lights.
What's that show where they used to show a TV show and they'd have heads talking, like it was like a shadow of heads?
Oh, I don't know.
Man, I can't remember the show. Please let us know if you know.
Comment in the comment section if you know that.
Yeah.
Mr. Nanook has joined us, and he's telling us we're looking good.
Thanks, Nanook.
That's good, man.
We're not feeling great.
No, we're tired. But
yeah, I think so if you live stream with us, this is worth noting. If we're talking updates, that's moving, right?
Yeah, let's talk about what's coming up.
That's moving to 10.
Yes.
So
we've been at 8:30.
Been at 8:30. We've been doing 8:30 live stream only, 10 o'clock outdoor only.
Right.
So we'll move to 8:30 and 10 o'clock indoors. The live stream will be at 10.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're going to tune in for that, live stream at 10, or RSVP for 8:30 or 10, which
are almost 8:30 is almost.
8:30 is
full.
getting there, and 10 has been there since this past Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't had the chance, if you like missed out on this past week, if you're missed out on this coming Sunday, just the next one's up as well.
Yeah, you can register for the 14th.
And then for 10 o'clock, it's worth noting, if you haven't been on there in a little while, there's a standby list that we're now taking for 10 o'clock as well. With the possibility of, if there are cancellations, things like that, we'll be able to get you in that way.
Right. So that sounds good.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
It stinks if you weren't able to get in, but
Yeah.
you might be able to still.
Right. Yeah.
And looking forward, things are like when we look at the COVID stuff, like numerically and the stats, it looks really good. So we might be able to maybe open up capacity more.
That's a big possibility, right?
Yeah.
Is once we get to, right now we're still in purple tier.
Right.
We're close to red.
Yep.
I think our adjusted case rate was 7.2 cases.
So 0.2 left.
So if we get below 7 or below for 14 days, and we move down to the next tier, that's still unfortunately the same level of like capacity that we have right now, of 100 people total in there.
Right.
But if we move to the next tier, then it's 50% capacity, and
we're
50% capacity in the sanctuary is 222.
Yeah, so we'll be all right.
Yeah. So that essentially double. Oh yeah, it does double. Whoa.
And it dropped. It dropped real significantly, right? Within like a week.
It's been dropping every week. Yeah.
Yeah, like a ton. So
I do think that's largely attributable to people getting vaccinated. Is hugely helpful.
Keep on yawning. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
Tell us how you really feel about this.
No, it has nothing to do
kidding.
with this. I was Pastor Greg, I woke up at 4:00 in the morning and couldn't fall back asleep.
Yeah.
And so it's just I like laid there for 3 hours trying to sleep and couldn't. And so
Your body's ready now. I mean,
it really is. I'm like, okay, nah. So getting back to it, it's looking good. It's looking good. We could be hitting that orange phase.
Yep.
Right. Next is red, but orange is where we're able to bump it to 50, and so we might get there sooner than we think.
Yep.
Which looks great.
It does.
What if that doesn't happen for a while?
Yeah. So if that doesn't happen for a while,
Yeah.
we'll need to move to 3 services total.
Okay.
Yeah. So if the capacity, we don't want to. It's not good. They're like, we want to come to worship and we can't.
Yeah.
Like,
We don't like saying no to you.
Right,
Like, that's
right.
not. We have no joy in this.
No. So yeah, whatever.
It's very stressful.
It is.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So whatever comes sooner, right? If the capacity can change soon, we'll up the capacity.
Right.
If it can't, then we'll up the number of services to increase the capacity that way. So either way, please know that we're looking for ways to open up more space.
Right.
Soon.
Right.
I've set the date just kind of more in my head than anything else, but we've talked about it as a staff as well as March 21st.
Yeah. So
That's coming up 2 weeks from this Sunday.
Yeah.
That by then we would either have increased capacity or 3 services, and we'd be easy to accommodate everyone.
Right.
So these first 2 weeks are kind of like a test run of like, are we filling up?
Yeah.
And if we are, then we need to find a way to increase capacity.
Yeah. That makes sense. And part of it is because like I know some people are like, well, why don't we just go right back to 3 services? Well, we're also trying to still have a live stream, which we've said is important.
Yeah.
And that requires staffing and it requires volunteers, and it's almost like
another service.
It's like a third service in a sense, and so we're just trying to be able to do what we do really as well as we can.
Yep.
Without overwhelming people.
Yeah.
And it is no matter what.
Right.
Because it's just like there's all these different things going on. So.
Yeah. But I'm excited.
Yeah, I do.
It is. Yeah, it's so cool.
And I've gotten texts from people and things like that, and like they might be asking me something, but it's funny. They'll be like, "Steven, do you know where this is?" And I'm really excited to be going inside or something, you know. And it's just I think everybody's really pumped to be back in the sanctuary again.
One thing that we didn't do this in June, but we'll do it starting this Sunday, is communion will be different, right?
Yeah.
We've been doing communion from a distance. And so part of we're going to be coming forward for communion this time and actually receiving it from me and communion assistants, right?
Right.
And part of what drove home for me the necessity of that was Ash Wednesday, where we did ashes on foreheads.
Right, we did it right up there.
Yeah, we did, and I don't know. There's something that there's something about the ashes are not a sacrament, but
right.
there's something they are communicating an important message, right? And so the sacrament of communion, I think that all these different acts that we do as a church, right, of like, these are ways we remind ourselves and confer on one another grace.
Right.
And there's something about it that it's more powerful when it's someone else who gives it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of you giving it to yourself.
Right.
Is the kind of realization I always kind of knew that, but it drove it home for me when we were doing the ashes, of just putting ashes on people's foreheads.
I remember being a little kid. I remember being a little kid at my Lutheran church, St. Peter of Richmond, where my opa, when I first started taking communion, and we had the common cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we drank
yeah.
and I know, especially since COVID, like everyone's like, common cup is just.
Oh, don't drink out of the common
right.
cup.
I love it. I know there's people that think it's disgusting, but I think there's something about it, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not the point. They had common cup, and they also had you didn't have to take common cup. They had just like ours, the trays. And I remember I would just take communion, and then my opa said, "Stephen, try it this way." And he said, "What?" And he said, "Fold your hands when you get up there." Mm-hmm. And don't take from the pastor. Mm-hmm. Let him do the work for you, because that's what our pastors would like cue it, right? They would see if are you reaching for the bread or the wafer, are you reaching for the cup, or if you're not, they just know I'm gonna put it right in your mouth for you. I'm gonna come right up to your lips with the cup, and so from then on, it was like. It was very, it was like symbolic, right? But it was also like powerful for me as a kid. Like just not actually making any act of it and just simply receiving it.
Yeah, what's funny is...
So that stuff is, I'm with you totally. Like it's so important that we don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
Sort of stuff. Not saying we're bringing common cup in.
Right. All of a sudden, like the RSVPs dwindle down. Like, nope, not coming, not coming.
Jeez. The health code shows up or something.
Yeah. What was I gonna say about that?
The act of it giving,
So out in Pittsburgh, quite a few. The Roman Catholic Church is very large in Pittsburgh, as it is pretty much everywhere in the United States. But out there, it's predominantly the population is predominantly Roman Catholic by background, and so you would regularly have a lot of Christians there who come up for communion, and I would go to give it to them. And they would just stick the tongue out, right?
Right.
Like, ah!
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah. So I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Don't get any ideas.
There you go, this Sunday. Get right up to Well, that might not be COVID friendly.
Right.
It's the breathing. It's not the touch, right? It's be careful.
Yeah, so we'll wear our masks all the way up to... We'll have markers of where to stand, right? And you can stand with another family member on the marker, but our ushers will kind of direct us.
I don't think we said that. We said it is by table.
Right.
Like the 8 o'clock style, where you will spread out across
the chancel steps.
In front of the chancel steps, and there'll be distance.
Yep.
By markers.
Yeah. So we'll have markers on the ground to stand on, and so it'll be distributed actually by hand.
Cool.
Yeah. There is something. It sounds weird. So I've been here almost a year.
It's coming up. What is like what 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's coming up soon. I think it is around 2 weeks.
Right.
I think it was around, I want to say it was March 23rd was my first sermon here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Somewhere around there. Or maybe it was like March 25th was my first sermon, but March 23rd was when we actually recorded it. Because we were recording, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's coming up soon, but I think as a pastor, I want to know people, right? I want to know you guys, and I think...
Not yawn at you like I am.
And part of it actually, it sounds weird, but there is something about giving communion that you actually begin to, like, you get to know people through that. I know that sounds bizarre because they're not conversing in like a linguistic way. I guess. But just being able to confer God's grace on each other. Is
powerful.
And
relational.
Yeah, it's relational, and you get to know people, and and so I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll feel like, I think we're actually not like we haven't been a church, but there have been kind of things stripped away from us.
Yeah.
So it'll feel more like we're the church again. I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's been a wild year, and
Yeah, it does feel like we're kind of bending towards, right? If only because the COVID case rates are. It feels like we're bending towards. Like.
It feels like summer.
Bending towards life.
Yeah,
Like
summer is coming. Like I go back to being like a third grader, and it's like, oh my gosh, 2 more weeks till summer break.
Right.
It's like
make one of those little chains where you tear off like the days.
Yes. Or in later on in life, I would like in college, I'd want summer to end. I would like because I would want to.
Yeah, you want to go back. Yeah.
I want to go back to Michigan State and be like, it's August, and it's like. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's kind of what this feels like. It's like, I want to go eat.
Yeah.
I want to go hang out with people and not wear a mask. And,
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. So I'm looking forward to that. So this Sunday is gonna be. We got.
Jason Segan says he's gonna DoorDash us some Starbucks. That would.
Thanks, Jason.
That would be really nice, my man.
Yeah.
But it probably won't take too long.
Yeah. They'll bring 1 coffee instead of 2.
Right. It's a common cup.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
So worship is returning indoors.
Yeah.
We're gonna have communion to like an actual, somewhat normal
Practice of communion.
Normal practice of communion, which is very exciting. We're going to be. We'll probably get into this in just a little bit, but we'll be continuing our sermon series, God of Covenant.
Right.
Which
I totally stole that name, by the way.
Oh, what is it? Originality is just concealing your source?
Yeah. The key to originality is to conceal your sources. Yeah. I made that up, actually.
Oh, did you?
I think it was Mark Twain.
Yeah. That's true, though.
Yeah, it totally is.
We all steal stuff.
Right.
There's nothing.
It was Jen Wilkins.
Isn't it scripture?
Yeah.
Everything under the sun?
Took it from the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were saying I took God of Covenant from the Bible.
Oh, right.
There's like a Jen Wilkins women's Bible study called God of Covenant, where she bases it on the first 11 chapters of Genesis.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It's a women's study, so I haven't done it myself. But
I
always like the title. I'm like, that's
I wasn't going to let that slide.
a great way to look at the first 11 chapters of And if you look at it, right, our first... Well, no, this weekend we're getting to chapter 17.
Yeah.
But we're... A lot of these we're marching through Genesis, and then we're eventually going to get to. We're getting into sermon series stuff, which was later. But like Moses from the Book of Exodus, David from 1st and 2nd Samuel,
right?
And then I think that's actually it. Those are the 2 we have left after this weekend. This weekend is Abraham, and it's Moses and David.
Father Abraham.
Yeah.
Had many sons.
I know.
Father Abraham.
Yeah, VBS, right? Is that a VBS song?
I learned it at the camp I would go to. I think probably I learned it at VBS as a kid too.
Did you do like cheeseball hand movements?
Yeah, there was hand.
Like right arm, Father Abraham.
Right. Yes. Right.
And then you had to do like both, and then you're kicking your legs.
Yes. I know a lot of those types of songs, or I did at least at one point. I've forgotten a lot.
Yeah. What's so funny is when God promised, "I will make you the father of many nations," I don't think He had that in mind.
No.
Kids singing Father Abraham.
No, it's
Yeah.
It's what VBS. I mean, I'm a fan of VBS, but it's what VBS and what VeggieTales does to the Bible and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's sort of like.
So Christy, she loves Father Abraham.
Like
the song.
Does she?
Yeah.
I mean, I do too, because I have like memories.
Right. That's
to
exactly
it.
it. It's the VBS memories of like. And I think the end is like right arm, left arm, right leg, left. Turn around, sit down, and then all of a sudden the song's over.
Yes.
They've gotten all the kids to sit down and be quiet.
That's all it was. It's a trick. It's a trick. That's what folding your hands, bowing your heads, and closing your eyes was too.
Oh, it was all a trick to get them to be quiet.
Yeah, it was one room. I was taught this. It was one room schoolhouse trick. Mm-hmm. It was the teachers came up with it when school was in prayer, and they would fold your hands, bow your heads, close your eyes, and it was like. What happens when you do that?
You get quiet.
You get quiet and you can't get distracted at all.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
My mom was a 5th grade teacher, and she had a game. I always laughed at it.
Yeah.
She had a game called Silent Ball.
Oh, interesting.
And so the kids, they loved it.
Yeah.
They had this big beach ball, and you had to. It was silent, right?
Right.
And you had to pass, and there were 2 ways to get out. You either dropped the ball,
right,
or you made a noise.
Okay.
If you made a noise, you were out. And so it was just brilliant. It would waste like 45 minutes of like, if you need quiet, we're gonna play Silent Ball, guys.
Just play Silent Ball.
Yeah, and they all loved it, right? Like,
and yeah, it's like so
they were
obvious.
So excited, they had no clue that they're just being silenced.
They're just being quiet, and your mom is just like, okay, now I can get rid of this headache that I have. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna play Silent Ball in church this week.
So Sundays are coming back. 10 a.m. live stream, 10 a.m. in person, 8:30 in person.
Yeah.
Are there? You have to RSVP.
Yeah.
So, and then we've also had the return these past few weeks of our midweek program.
We have.
Our Wednesday nights for young families. It's
Yeah.
been limited.
Right.
In that sense, because we wanted to bring back kids programs.
Right.
Sort of first to try and get young children and things like that involved again.
In a lot of ways, kids are least at risk for COVID.
Yep.
And the difficulty of not being in school this year.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the rationale for that, to bring them back on campus as soon as we could.
Right.
But then we're limited in the number of people who can come back on.
Right.
So
the little ones and sort of middle ones, they've been doing Little People Big God, God's plans for children, and with Miss Tara and Shelley and Seagans. I think it's been going well. I haven't really paid because I've been over with
people of prayer.
Yeah, people of prayer with confirmation. We've been talking about the Lord's Prayer, and not just that, but prayer, and we've been really focusing in on a posture of dependence.
Oh yeah.
What is prayer? This life of depending and on God and living a life. It's humility, right? It's which ties so beautifully into what we covered in the fall, the Apostles' Creed. You know, that first article, Creator. It's like, well, everything comes from Him, right? Even the breath in your lungs, the ground underneath your feet. Yep. Like, if there is no God, there is none of that. There's no you. So that's been going well, I think. It's been fun to see them and hang out with them again.
I forgot we talked about it. So prayer is being a posture of dependence.
Yeah, that's right. That came from Pastor Garrett. Who'd you steal that from?
Yeah, right.
The
Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful, though. I'm just thinking, like, it seems like part of the original sin, or maybe the outcome of the original sin, was to rely no longer on the Lord, but on ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's
I'm going to choose.
We talk about a humility that's a posture of dependence. That's like prayerfulness is a posture of dependence, right? A life that's prayerful is depending on and looking for direction from the Lord. Yeah, anyway, I think that's not our default mode as fallen human beings.
No.
Default is depend on myself or on other things or people that are not dependable.
Right.
Not like people aren't dependable. It sounds really negative.
They are.
But there's even the first part of, like, I'm just thinking about the sermon for this weekend too, but there's a sense in which covenants, right? Covenants are rooted in a promise that God makes. Yeah. And the response that He always calls for is a posture of dependence on the fact that He's going to make it come true. Right. Like every single one of them, it's like some sort of promise He's making, and then our response to that covenantal promise is just living like it's good. He's going to keep His word. Right. And so there's a prayerful response to even the covenants. Anyway.
So that's great. Yeah, no, it helps me for next week.
So
that's confirmation. And then the adults, the parents of the kids that are in these programs are hanging out with you for it's like a 30-minute Bible study. Yep. And then they watch.
We watch the video that
everyone's watching at home. The story of faithfulness. Of that week. Yeah. So
we've been doing biblical themes, right? Like, and by biblical themes, I mean, I think if you look at, and I always find this fascinating, if you look at the story of God's people, especially in the Old Covenant, but really throughout both Old and New, I think what's so fascinating, and part of the reason the Bible has had such staying power, is like it speaks to us even now, like thousands of years after it's written, is the story of God's people is reflected in our own lives. We see our own story in their story.
Oh, right.
And it's like, wait a second, how's that possible?
Right. I've done that before. I've said that before. I've acted that way,
Yeah, and this, and these themes, right, of like created good but born fallen, kind of looking at what it means to be created in the image of God, and then to fall away from that, and then to get delivered, set free from the fall. So we've been looking at just different themes, right, week to week. And what's fascinating is, in my mind, when I watch the videos of the stories of faithfulness, you see those themes.
Oh, for sure.
woven throughout, right? That
Yeah.
in a sense, every Christian has the same story.
Yeah.
At least thematically,
Right.
right? It's a story of sin and grace,
Yeah.
of transformation and hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember the pastor I used to work with out in Pittsburgh. He said when we would sing "Amazing Grace," he always said like, "This is," and he's like, "Now we'll sing every Christian's autobiography." And there's a sense
good
in which
one.
it's true, right? It's like
Yeah.
there are common themes that we all have, and they're biblical themes,
Right.
and we learn to see the truth about our lives through the lens of Scripture, right?
Right.
It kind of reveals to us what our life is about and who we are and who God is. And anyway, so we're looking at that on Wednesday nights. The
That's
stories have been incredibly powerful.
They have been. They've been really great.
And I think I was remarking, Christy and I were in conversation last night about them, and just the honesty, right,
Yeah.
of the stories. And I think that's so helpful because I do think the perception of Christians is that we're fundamentally dishonest, that we're just kind of pretending that we're better than we really are.
Yeah.
And I get that. I think there is probably that's been
Right.
maybe a feature of some Christendom or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Or
but
we
it's-
do that at times. Like we fall, like you fall into that
Yeah,
trap.
you
where
fall into it, right? And a lot of the times you do it with like the best of intentions, or like you get kind of like you fall into a
Yeah.
mindset you don't even realize you're developing it, and you're
Right.
like, oh wait a second, I'm totally not being honest right now.
Right. Right.
And totally depending on myself to make it look like I'm better than I really am. Anyway, so I think there's been an honesty in the stories that is really, for me, it's really refreshing, and and it points to the goodness of the Lord,
Right.
to set us free and to give us grace and to do these beautiful things. So
Right.
yeah,
It's beautiful. It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah. No, these stories. They've the first two, Don and Dana, daughter and a dad. You know, I think that's really cool. That we had first 2 weeks for a daughter and a dad, and
yeah,
and had just these remarkable, powerful stories. And then next week is going to be great. Monica and
so Monica, preschool director.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I would imagine most of you know Monica, so she's
Yeah.
going to tell her story next week.
yeah, you guys should really check that out.
What's funny is like we've had both Dana and Dawn have sung their own songs, right?
Right.
And so when I asked Monica to choose a song, she's like, "Wait, I don't want to sing it." We were joking around like, "Ah, part of the deal. Sorry, Monica." Like,
Right. She's thinking.
that's the new MO here.
Standard.
Is that, new standard is if you do your face story, you
Yeah,
gotta.
you're laying it all out there.
Yeah, you're just gonna show us your singing voice.
Right. Oh no.
Yeah, no.
I actually, for the first time ever, I posted like a story on my personal Instagram, me singing a song yesterday because I was just bored.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. Like it was
Yeah.
like a minute.
I'm gonna go watch it.
No. It's a
Everyone go watch it on Instagram.
No, don't do it. I'm gonna go set my Instagram as private. I think it's actually off now. To be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, I saved it as a highlight. I hate social media, but now that I'm doing it more here,
Yeah,
it's like
digital ministry.
I've decided it's like I should probably play with it in my personal
Yeah.
world as well, so I can learn even more
Right.
about it. So
Yeah.
there you go.
What's funny is I often think about, like, if you think about social media, the problem with it, and I think everyone kind of recognizes that there's a problem with it.
Yeah, I think everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and like no one says
It's
like,
sort
what are
of-
you talking about? There's no problem. It's great. Like
Right.
no one says that.
It's sort of like become a cliche to even talk about the problems.
Right.
Which isn't good.
Right, because we're not solving them.
Yeah, we're not It's you can't just become apathetic and think that it's.
So this book, which I've quoted it on this on Thursday Night Live before, but the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, right? And he talks about how he goes on once a week. I think that's really healthy. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really nice.
He's like just once a week.
I go on now like 27 times 3 a day. It's become ridiculous.
And it's just soul sucking, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
You get like I feel down more when I look at social media.
Right. So one thing I've noticed is I didn't start this until last summer with like everything that was going on, like the social unrest last summer. I started going on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
If only because I thought that one thing that was kind of neat about Twitter is actually you had people like on the ground of what was happening. They
Yeah.
were like posting videos and you could get a real like live look at what
Right.
was going
Live
on
view,
that
yeah.
like a lot of major networks were not doing. They
No.
weren't sending their reporters in there if only because it was too dangerous, right?
Right.
So you could get all that stuff. But then I started to get addicted to Twitter, and one thing I've noticed with Twitter is
it's all the algorithm.
and evidence right now, it makes you incapable of deep thought. It really does.
Everything's 144 characters. You're just like
Right. It's just like read, and it's just like not one tweet is not connected to the next tweet.
Right.
Connected to the next tweet.
Right.
And so you can't think logically for long periods of time.
Right.
You lose that ability because you're just jumping from one thing to the next, and it makes you scatterbrained.
For sure.
And I'm noticing that as I spend time on it.
Yeah.
I probably should have fasted from this for Lent, but which I guess I still could.
Epiphany.
It's not too late. Right. As I say it.
Hi, Jamie. She gave us a heart.
So.
Back at you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah. Social media.
Yeah, so you're on there a lot. Where
We were at stories.
I mean, the
of
irony is we're
faithfulness.
talking about social media, and we're on social media right now.
Yeah, because there's lots of good things about it too. You know, like there is a connectedness
Right.
that you wouldn't necessarily have, or
Yeah, I guess that's what we were saying. Is like, it has problems,
right.
but it also has benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the thing is, I guess that's a lot of things, and if the problems begin to overtake the benefits, or like,
Right.
then we need to learn how to put it in its place.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like
Fast.
fast, put it in its place. I do think like maybe once, twice a week, like personal rule, right?
Right.
Can be really helpful.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to get there.
Yeah. I said recently, this is again a conversation with my wife, but so I resisted getting a smartphone for the longest time.
Yeah.
Just because I see everyone, right? Like,
Right.
I remember pointed out one time, I think it was, who said it? It was a pastor I was listening to. I don't remember who. It's beside the point. But he was like, the next time you go to like an airport terminal, just look at everyone in the airport terminal. So look at them and notice, no one actually makes eye contact anymore. We're all on our phones. And he goes, but ask yourself the question, does anyone look happy?
No.
And it's like, oh my goodness. So next time I was in the airport terminal, I was just looking around, I'm like, oh my goodness, we look miserable.
Right.
And so and so what I've thought, so I resisted getting a smartphone for the longest time. I finally got one because I really kind of needed it for certain
Right.
things. Namely, I tend to get lost driving.
Yeah. That is the best.
GPS. And so what I would always do, I'd be like, Christy, put it in your phone. She's like,
Right.
really? Like,
Right.
can't you just get a smartphone?
Right.
And I like
So
to
you
check the
print
weather.
off the map
I'm
quest.
I'm kind of like a weather guy.
Are you
I
a
like-
weather junkie?
Yeah, I'm kind of a weather
Okay.
junkie. I'm like, I want to know what the weather. Like, so
Yeah.
growing up, when we would get ready in the morning, my mom would put the weather channel on.
Oh yeah. Of course.
It's kind of like
And
home
my
for
dad
me.
does that.
Like, oh, the weather channel, nice.
My dad.
Local on the 8s.
Right. Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I liked it for those two reasons. But then once I got it,
Right.
yeah. So now like I'll be sitting at a red light, and it used to be
Stop.
I would sit at a red light,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, I would be thinking things through
Right.
and actually like kind of processing.
Right.
Now I'm just like not even thinking about it. I grab my
Right.
phone and I'm looking. I'm like, what am I doing? This is
Right. It's a trap.
Yeah, so when I was talking to Christy, I'm gonna get a new phone, and my plan, so maybe I'm gonna hold me to this, right?
Right.
Is to disable completely any sort of internet access, any sort of apps. The only things I would have on there are weather and directions,
Oh.
because I'm not like addicted to looking at the weather.
Right,
I just
right.
look at it in the morning and then I'm done.
Right. That's what an
nor am I
addict would
addicted to
say,
getting
though.
directions.
That's what an addict would say, Pastor Garrett.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm not addicted to it.
Is anyone really addicted to the Weather Channel?
No.
I mean, maybe. Anyway.
That's interesting. You know what I think is one thing I need to do again. One thing that helped me with social media when I was at one point more into it than I had gone through a period of time, I think for probably the past 2 years, where I just was like, I'm over
done.
it.
Yeah.
But it's been more recently where I've been getting more into it. And one of the things that helped me was you turn off notifications.
Oh yeah. See,
You
I've always had mine off.
Yeah, like for me, it's like those stinking things that pop up. Like,
Yeah. Those are the worst.
You know, Pastor Garrett posted a story for the first time in a long time. You're like, well, what's he been up to?
Yeah, right.
And so you open it up and you get the
Yeah.
one, and then it gets you in the second, and it gets it sucks you in. So, and then it's like, and it's real creepy because the moment you close the app and you put your phone down, it just decides 5 minutes later to drop another one on there for you. It's like it knew you were just on. I'm gonna try and get you again.
Yeah. The
I think
social dilemma.
It talks about that, right? Yeah. But I've
well
seen,
worth watching.
You watch, yeah. You should watch it.
Yeah. Where were we?
I don't know.
Stories
Stories
of
of Faithfulness. They're great and they're awesome. They come out at 6 p.m. on Wednesday nights. We have 3 more to go.
Yeah.
And they've been a joy. And I do think we have talked about it. I think we'll probably have them in person again, right? But taping them is something I think we want to do.
Yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
future.
Yeah, those won't go away.
Yeah.
The taping aspect of it, and
want to be able to share them. So
yeah, they're really neat to listen to. And I think one thing that people have said about, I don't know if this is, it's probably pretty fair. They'll say that Lutherans, are bad at telling like their testimony.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That generally speaking, I don't know. I think Lutherans tend to be a little bit more reticent in talking about their faith.
Yeah.
By and large, that's not
Sure.
always the case. Like every individual Lutheran
Right.
is. But generally speaking, we're probably a little bit more reticent, and especially telling this story. And it's
Formally telling the testimony, I feel like is something that's really not been a part of like the Lutheran Church.
Right.
You don't see that a whole lot. Like you
Yeah.
don't see during a service in a Lutheran
Right.
church, right? Like never is there this time when you have time of testimony, like you would in like a Baptist church or like a non-denominational church or something like that.
Yeah. And it is actually a biblical. There's a biblical precedent for it.
Yeah.
To be told, I'm thinking of regularly Paul tells his own story of conversion.
Right.
Right. And and what's beautiful about I think the way you can always distinguish the stories, right, of them being a true testament to the Lord at work, is it always puts the emphasis on the goodness of God.
Yeah.
And it's always
Right.
yeah. So every story, whereas like if we get up there, which no one. This is beautiful about our story. No one does this in our stories. But like if I was going to get up there and say like, I really figured it out and I did X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
That's my story of my own faithfulness. Like, like
Which is what that's called the TED Talk.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, there's one day and I was looking out my window and I found
I
out
figured this out.
I cured cancer.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Did you?
Yeah. Anyway, so there's biblical precedent for that, like for Paul's story, and or if you just think of, and a lot of like people into apologetics will quote it. It's 1 Peter 3:15.
Oh, right, yeah.
Be prepared to give an answer or defense for the hope that is within you. Yeah. And really, I think it's not necessarily like doing hardcore like. No, it doesn't have to be like hardcore philosophy and logic and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've always kind of laughed at that.
That a great apologetic or a great like.
I love apologetics too, but like to use that verse, you have to like look at the nuance, like in the Greek. It's not really like.
Yeah, it's not setting up a formal philosophy department in the early church. It's
no, but it's for some reason become like the proof text of apologetics.
Right.
Where it's like we can look elsewhere. Like you look at Paul, how he does it.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Yeah. I think the reason they use it as the proof text for apologetics is because the word is for defense is apologia. Yeah. They're like,
this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Right.
So, but I think a beautiful apologetic, right, is just a testimony of what God has done in your life.
Yeah.
That's a reason for hope.
And
that's what these are, right?
They really are.
And so this is like, it's a personal form of apologetics, right? Of
right.
Like, here's the reason I continue to have hope in this God that we worship, right?
Right.
It's because He's done this in the past.
Yep.
And I have confidence He's going to continue to.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, we can leave it there. Because we could probably keep talking.
Do you want to keep knocking down apologetics?
No, I kind of do, because I used to really love it, and I'm not really the biggest.
What's funny is I found it helpful at a particular point when I was having, like, when my doubts were predominantly intellectual doubts.
Yeah.
And I needed some sort of, like, argumentation to kind of, like, make sense to me. And C.S. Lewis was really helpful.
Yeah, I like, there are certain apologists, I think, that do it well, right? And then there's some where it's just cheapening, and it's like, you're not going to prove
You're just trying to, like, win an argument.
Yeah, and you're not going to, like, prove it. You're not going to point and say, here it is, aha, you have to now accept this type of thing.
Right.
It has
to.
Yeah. And
now you got to believe.
Right, and that's why, like, the stories of faithfulness, right?
Right.
That does the work of does the work of what the Bible does. Like it tells the narrative of God's faithfulness, His covenant, right, His commitment to faithless people,
right,
and calling them into a new life and seeking and following His will and His ways, and like that sort of conviction.
Yeah.
I know there's people that have come to faith because of logical arguments, things like that, and so
Right,
I'm not to
right.
discredit that, but I think like the personal conviction,
Right.
that comes from resonating with the Spirit
Right,
working
right.
inside of you, right? And it can happen through logic and intellect and things like that. That's true. And then I've same thing. It was helpful for me during certain periods of time when it was like an intellectual a curiosity or problem, and
They always say what made the early church spread wasn't actually wasn't necessarily like rational arguments. Not that wasn't part of their preaching. It was certainly part of their teaching and showing someone who's really good at this actually is Tim Keller.
Yes.
So if you listen to Tim Keller's sermons,
he's very good at it.
all he does is he just shows that the Christian faith has logical coherence.
Right.
Right?
That's what it is.
It's all you're doing.
In it.
That
Right.
it has logical coherence. It's not this illogical, crazy. Now that doesn't mean we don't believe things for which we don't have proof.
Right.
But there's logical probability and things. So it's just kind of showing that. But also within the Christian faith itself, there's a logic to it that makes sense, right? The pieces fit.
It's not scatterbrained.
Yeah.
It does. It works. It's a
It
puzzle
stands
that
up
works
to intellectual
together.
scrutiny,
Yeah,
right?
for
And,
sure.
It's Where was I going with that? Oh, so the way the early church spread was what they often say was actually through the lives of the martyrs, right? Or the saints.
Right.
But then that word martyr, right?
Yeah.
The Greek word martyr literally means, it doesn't mean like someone who like just gets killed for the faith.
Right.
It just means witness. It's the Greek word martus. It just means someone who witnesses. And so you could say like every one of our stories of faithfulness is a martyr, right?
Yeah.
But it's just telling the story of witnessing to what God has done and will continue to do in one's life. So.
Right.
But yeah, that the martyrs were the way the church spread. It was
Right.
people's lives that were changed,
Right.
and other people saw it and were like, "Well, wait a second,
What is that?
like,
Yeah.
I want that."
Yep.
Yeah, and that's another part of the beautiful part of living in Christian community, right? Is like points at which you're kind of like struggling on your own,
Right.
and you see other people, like the Lord at work in other people's lives. It can help, right? It's
For
just
sure.
like an encouragement to you, like the Lord is still active, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Part of this whole isolation thing is kind of one of the most detrimental aspects of it is it's kind of like pulled that away from us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've seen that in my life.
Yeah.
So check out our martyrs at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Martyrs.
6 p.m. Stories of Faithfulness. We've got 3 weeks left.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
We've filmed all of them except one. We have one more to film, and then we're good.
Yeah.
We're just gonna edit, and we're done. We just hit the buttons, and we go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Wednesdays
kind of
and
that is
Sundays.
the outlook right now. We have a few different things going on when it comes to working out staff stuff. We have a youth committee that's working on some things to find a new youth director.
Yeah.
We have a call team coming up for an associate pastor.
Yep.
Weirdly feel torn between both
Steven.
of these things. But
Yeah.
we got someone.
We got someone knocking on the window, and
we can't right now.
we're just partying.
Yeah.
Do we know who that is?
Yeah, it's our friend.
Okay. Yeah. No, not yet.
We can't. We're live right now. We.
If you had any idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a.
Stay focused here.
We're figuring out stuff right now.
Yeah.
We're figuring out how to replace things.
Yeah. Moving parts, right? There are a bunch of moving parts. Staff-wise.
Thank you. Yeah, so things are coming together for finding a new youth director. Things are coming together for our call team. So, what's going on there?
Yeah, so the youth director search is still moving forward it's been more difficult. So just to be frank, it's been more difficult, right, of finding a candidate who's going to come here. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but I think one of the issues, right, is cost of living is quite high.
Yeah.
And typical youth director salary is not super high. So that's
Really?
like, yeah, I'm just kind of So tell us about this, Steven.
There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. You have to be young, and you have to not
Single?
care.
Yeah.
And you have to want to live in Southern California.
Yeah, right.
You have to want to be here. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, so
that's
that's a
probably
challenge.
one of the big challenges.
Yeah, because one of our candidates, for example, just to be forthright, was married with children. And to support a family on that out here is
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
So we got to think creatively about that and what we do to find the right candidate to bless and benefit the lives of youth, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do that, but there's a moving piece there that's
Right.
kind of tricky to figure out, and then the associate pastor call committee that's finally formed. It just formed officially this past week, so we're sending out notifications of like if you're on it and things like that, and yeah.
Yeah.
So that work will begin. We're not going to meet during Lent.
Yep. So the next 3 weeks.
And we'll meet right
4
after
weeks.
Easter. We'll start meeting right after Easter and getting kind of what we're looking for.
Right.
And get those things nailed down.
Cool.
Before we start.
Exciting.
Accepting applications.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing like with the youth director thing too, we're looking for like, is there ways to do like an interim work right now too in the area?
Yeah, to fill the gap, right?
Yeah, so if we can bring someone in from another youth organization, something like that. So we're trying to just think creatively to kind of get around some of the financial burdens and the California burdens. But yeah, exciting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah.
With all this stuff unfolding here at CLC or Christ Lutheran Church, acronyms.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah. So we heard lately. We should put it out there that.
Not that we're gonna.
Not use CLC.
Yeah, not that you can't not use CLC.
But what we heard.
But when we talk publicly, like when we're on our live stream or when we're on here, like we're not the NFL.
Right. Yeah. Like the only people who can use acronyms are the NFL and the NBA. Was this article we read? And it's like, it's kind of true.
Tell the story like your father-in-law.
Yeah.
Right?
So my father-in-law came out to visit, and he attended the whole service. And it says like on our bulletin CLC. We use it throughout the service CLC. Yeah. And after the service, he goes, "What's CLC?"
What's CLC? Like, oh, you're here.
He's like the pastor's father-in-law, and he's just like, I have no idea, guys.
Right. So
that was just an indication to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, we just assume.
Right. So I've been trying to, like even on community
like
updates, like don't say CLC, say Christ Lutheran Church, just to be more clear.
Considerate of people who are not.
Yeah. We don't want to create insider
mentality.
Yeah. Right? Not that solves all of that, but it's just one. It's just one way to
being intentional.
Well, yeah, one way to move the ball forward.
Yeah.
Jamie. Okay.
Yeah.
Jamie. Funny.
Thank you, Jamie.
Jamie. I feel like it's a conflict of interest.
You were read already, but I think you might have gotten a little.
It's a conflict of interest for me to read that on air.
Yeah. So Jamie, I'll read it. Jamie commented on Facebook, Stephen for associate pastor. Yeah. So there you go.
No, I'm kidding. Just like, that's very sweet of you. We shall see what happens.
Right.
Through the call process.
And I think the beauty of the call process, right?
Yeah.
For everyone involved is discerning God's will together.
Right.
It's actually really exciting.
Yeah.
It is. There's a lot to look forward to in that, and getting clarity and confidence of where God is leading.
Right. And it was so, I don't know how other people felt, but I thought it was an exciting time through the call process that got you. Just being on this side of it, just kind of like, who's God going to bring us, you know? And so it'll be fun again. And I think it's going to be something that, like, especially coming off of this year, you know, like there's something to look forward to with that. And it's like,
there is.
It's going to be good.
No, I think this summer, fall, what we have kind of like coming down the pike, so to speak, is really exciting.
Yeah.
I think it's going to feel like we're moving into a future that God himself has prepared us for.
Right.
It's just a good feeling.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. I feel like we've just been like...
gotta get there.
Yeah.
So that's... Yes. Jamie, you're the best. So that's kind of a big stuff coming up right now. So how about
Notifications?
It is, what is this saying? What is this? Rough. YouTube is not enough to maintain smooth streaming. YouTube might get a little wonky right now, but it will probably smooth out, I think.
Yeah. Oh, what else?
we've been on a long time right now, so
Yeah.
it makes sense that our internet would maybe slow
Yeah.
things down. But
I'm
so
trying to think if there's anything we're missing.
7:50.
Updates.
Updates.
Oh wait, Easter. Duh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The big.
Kind of a big deal.
That's a big one. That's kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
We didn't forget about Christmas. We're not going to forget about Easter.
Yeah. Right. So we have Holy Week planned, right?
Yes. We got Palm Sunday.
Palm Sunday.
Well, it's not really Holy Week, right? But
Yeah, well, officially it is.
Is
So they
it?
always
I
say
always
that
get
that's
confused.
I do too. I always used to think Holy Week was the 3 days,
Yeah,
like
that's what I always
Thursday,
thought of.
Friday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, no, Holy Week's like Sunday through Sunday.
Right.
It's the whole week. It's from the entrance into Jerusalem to resurrection. Anyway,
I'm out.
but the days that are abnormal, right? Maundy Thursday.
Yes.
Good
Friday.
Friday. Those are both
Easter Vigil on
yeah.
Saturday. I'm kidding.
We used to do Easter Vigil and
I know. So Monday, Thursday,
most
Good
complicated
Friday.
service of the year. Then you wake up on Sunday morning
Yeah.
exhausted, like, oh great,
Right.
most attended services of the year, and I'm dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you just saw that face of his, I just saw Polly.
Oh, did you?
That I'm like, oh my gosh, that was Polly. Sorry, pointing it out there, baby Polly.
Oh my goodness, that's really funny because I always think he looks like Christy. Actually,
Yeah, no,
When
but-
I see him, I'm like, wow, you look like Christy.
No, but when your eyes got wide like that, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, he looks so much like Polly, or Polly looks so much like Carrot.
Right. Yeah, that's
So-
funny.
Palm Sunday, we're planning that. That's going to be just a normal Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Which is typical. And then so Maundy Thursday. 7 o'clock service outdoors, similar to what we did on Ash Wednesday. Good Friday, 7 o'clock service
Right.
outdoors.
Right.
And then both online versions as well at 7
Cool.
o'clock. And then Sunday for Easter is the probably
big
the
one.
big one, right?
What, 6:30?
Yeah. So first noting, we're doing those outside.
Yes.
I think that's worth emphasizing, and the reason for that is because of attendance the way it usually is on Easter Sunday. You can't fit, even though if we went inside, we
Right.
can't fit as many people who would want to come, and we
Right.
don't want to turn people away.
Right. We
and
don't want to
so-
have any capacity issues for Easter Sunday.
Right.
We want to be able to.
accommodate
just-
whoever comes.
Right.
No sign, and we don't have to take sign-ups because a lot of those people are not like
Right, apt enough to go, oh, I got to sign up. Or
right.
like,
They're just gonna come.
Right.
So this makes it so we can. Anyway, so that outdoor at 6:30 is our
Right.
sunrise. 8 o'clock. So it's 1.5 hour increments. 6:30, 8, 9:30, 11. Which will be easy to remember because it's just 6:30 and then our 3 normal service times
Yeah.
of 8, 9:30, 11.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
All outdoors.
All outdoors. So bring a chair.
Yeah.
You might want to bring a blanket earlier in the day, in the
Yeah.
afternoon, or by 9:30, 11 you may not need it.
Probably be fine, yeah. But it'll be a beautiful morning here, and it'll be a great time together and celebrating the resurrection of our Lord. There will be an online service that we'll be posting. Probably,
Probably 9:30.
Yeah,
maybe
probably
8.
early.
We haven't actually discussed that.
Yeah, we haven't really scheduled that
Yeah.
quite yet, but there definitely will be an online service. We'll record. I'm assuming it's so hard to keep things together. Please,
Yeah.
a little bit of grace, just because this weekend is so big right now too.
Right.
Trying to keep
Our
everything
head is in
straight.
that.
Thursday and Friday too. We'll have recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording everything.
Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, we'll have online.
There will be
versions.
online everything.
Yeah.
We kind of have committed to that.
Yeah.
That if we're gonna have an in-person service, there will be an online
Version as well.
opportunity as well, or not
Yeah.
opportunity.
Service. Yeah.
Service for you.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Yeah. So we're getting there. Holy Week is coming.
Yeah. And then we're gonna take like 4 weeks of vacation after that. Go to Bethlehem. No. Jeez. Fired. I'm
Wait, so
done.
do you have a favorite service of like Holy Week? Do you have
Oh, Monday, Thursday.
Monday, Thursday?
Well, okay. What do you mean, like service? I love to play, but when you're talking like worship services, I do love the Monday, Thursday drama that we've done here.
Yeah.
But when I think of like the worship services I grew up with in Holy Week, it was the Monday, Thursday service that I always really I liked and got into. And then I participated in the drama each year.
Yeah, right.
That I was here.
Right.
Pastor Joe basically put it in my
Strong
job
armed
description.
you into it.
It was like, you're young and on staff, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'll be totally honest. doing it, the worst part of it, and I think a lot of the guys will agree with this, was like, it was just like having to stay on Sundays after for like 2-3 hours to do practice. Especially like being here like all morning, and then you're here and it's like, okay, we're practicing this play.
Yeah.
But like over time, all of a sudden it starts to become fun.
Yeah.
It's like you're hanging out with this cool cast.
Crew, yeah.
And then what made it always worth it to me was the whole cast goes to, after the play itself, we all go to Don Cuco's.
Oh,
And
that's
we
fun.
get,
Yeah.
we just hang out
Yeah.
after like a little rap party.
Fun.
And that was always like, for the past 4 or 5 years,
highlight.
it was a highlight of the year.
Yeah,
Always. It was like just
that's
hanging out with everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't want to really do those Sunday rehearsals,
Yeah.
but I'm so happy I did because it sort of culminated in this. So for me, I would say Monday, Thursday, from the experience with the drama here, of course, but then also even growing up, the like there was no drama in the churches I grew up in. That was just sort of service.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the Garden of Gethsemane is just, there's just something so, for me, at least in my faith journey in life, like that's been like a major point of Jesus that I think I've just always like sort of gleaned from and gravitated to. The sweat like drops of blood, the intensity of that moment, his prayers, Peter drawing the sword and cutting off Malchus's ear, and Jesus like, what are you doing? Like that whole drama, if you will, right? Like that's just it's always been like a place that I've sort of always gone to when I've been in doubts or have needed strength myself in my faith. Yeah. How about you?
Good Friday.
All right, cool. Not the same.
Cover the bases.
Why so?
I've always had the sense that Good Friday strips away everything,
Oh yeah.
right? And it's the fundamental. I mean, all of Holy Week is actually the backbone of the Christian faith, right?
Right.
It's like, but Good Friday, for whatever reason, I think just my experience of Good Friday services, them being so stripped down and so, I don't know. At least, maybe it's especially true leading services on Good Friday is in some sense, I've never felt pressure. I think leading services, no matter what, you always feel a little bit, you don't want to mess it up, that sort of thing, which you don't want to mess up Good Friday, especially Good Friday. But there's something about, like, you can't really think about yourself on Good Friday. It's just, and so I like how all the attention is just on what Christ has done for us, and it. There was a service we did out in Pittsburgh on Good Friday. It was the Tenebrae. We did 2 different services. We did a Traore from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Of like on the 7 last words of Christ.
Right.
I like that service, but it's still light out.
Yeah.
The 7 o'clock we did a Tenebrae service that was just beautiful, and it was very stripped down, and I don't know. It just let the gospel just shine through.
Yeah.
There was like nothing holding it back, sort of thing.
It just is what it is. It's the cross. It's Christ. It's Him crucified. It's like
right. There's no way to doll it up.
Yeah. So I think you've been a theologian of the cross.
Yeah. So it's a Good Friday. And I think part of it too, when I was talking about leading worship, I think Easter always feels like, I don't know. I feel like every pastor kind of says this, that on Easter Sunday you're like, man, I better get this right because if only like half these people came back, like
we're set.
Amazing. And I don't know, you just don't think about that on Good Friday.
No.
And there's just something more real about it in that sense. Right. You're not worried. You're just trusting the Lord and focusing.
And I have noticed people here that like would be like, there are people that don't go to our church that come on Good Friday. Like there are people that will make it. There are people who make it a point to go to Good Friday service. That might not otherwise go to church. Too.
So there's less. It's just a different tenor on Good Friday. And don't get me wrong. Growing up, my favorite day of the year was Easter, even more than Christmas.
Oh, really?
I loved Easter.
Really?
Part of that was my dad loved Easter, and I just always wanted to be my dad. So he loved Easter, and so I was like, I love Easter too. And we used to go to church on Christmas and Easter. Yeah. And I don't know, there was something about it that always kind of felt like life to me.
Makes sense.
What's funny is G.K. Chesterton. I think he said that if you grow up in Western civilization, you grow up psychologically a Christian. Even if not by faith, you're a Christian. Just psychologically, it's built into your bones that there's something about life that is about gift and life.
Right.
Right? Or like gift and new life. That Christmas kind of,
Right.
that life is a gift, and it kind of communicates that to you. And
Right.
anyway, so it was kind of deeply embedded in my mind as a little kid, even though I didn't believe. Something about Easter pointed me to resurrection in a way.
For sure.
I think it was Martin Luther who said that, like every spring, the resurrection is written in the flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something similar to that. I'm botching it, but that it's a sign pointing to an ultimate reality.
Well, even the bunny, the Easter bunny.
Oh, right. It was made for a reason, or chosen for a reason as like a mascot.
Make like bunnies, because they're always
New life.
reproducing.
Yeah.
It was all about in the ancient Mesopotamian world and even the ancient Greek world, the rabbit was a symbol of new life, because they would be always repopulating.
Yeah, right.
So, it is, and it's fit in the spring. It's just like a perfect time.
Oh my goodness. So, I hope there aren't any kids watching this. I won't say that. Never mind. I was trying to say,
Where's the bleep button?
Say something about the Easter Bunny, but...
Yeah.
We were playing headbands.
Be careful, yeah.
Yeah, and with my family, one of them said the headband thing was Easter Bunny, and the question asked was, it was my little cousin or my little nephew.
Right.
He asked the question. It's one of the questions that the card kind of prompts you. It's like you can ask, "Am I real or fictional?"
Right.
And he was the Easter Bunny. And he goes, "Am I real or fictional?" And my sister goes, "Real." And I go, "Fictional." And my sister's like, "Real?" Looking at me. And my nephew looks at me. He goes, "You just ruined my childhood."
Oh my gosh. And he just ruined all of your children's childhood. He's real.
So, he's totally real.
I don't know.
Right. So I stood corrected. I was messing with him.
That's so funny. It's so funny.
But his response was so funny. He's like, I think he was joking. You just ruined my childhood.
I remember No, I'm not going to do it. So we're going to keep moving.
We're all over the place, Steven.
That's all right. We've covered a lot of
are.
things. And that's what we do. I think our viewers expect it. Okay.
Expect, dread, whatever.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Where are we at right now? Oh, we've hit 8:02.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We've got the Holy Week.
Oh, real quick. This is something I asked because we won't have Thursday Night Live. Like, Thursday Night Live will be next month, obviously. And so Easter will have occurred.
Yeah.
We might actually have a week beforehand, but midweek coming back after Easter. So we have 3 more weeks. We didn't cover this.
And actually I'm thinking of two things.
Our Wednesday night.
One is, so our next Thursday Night Live,
Yeah.
If we do it on the first Thursday, it falls on Monday, Thursday, we're going to be at a service.
Yeah, we won't be doing that.
Yeah, no.
We'll be doing
Do
the
Thursday Night Live from the service.
Yeah. Hey, everybody! So,
instead of the skit this year, we're just going to do Thursday Night Live. Really desecrate what's...
I was thinking more like at the end of a game or something, like we'll do it at the end.
Oh, right.
Like we have it sit down like at courtside.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to get Pastor Garrett in here. Like, there's a great sermon. Tell me, what were you thinking about at the 10-minute mark?
Yeah. We saw you calling audible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so
anyway,
funny.
So the 8th.
So we'll schedule probably for the second week.
April 8th.
So we'll go to not Monday, Thursday, week after, which means will we have had a Wednesday night, or do we take that?
Not
Wednesday?
yet.
No.
Yeah. So after Easter, we will come back to midweek ministries on Wednesday nights.
Right.
And those will be back. Our plan right now, if COVID cases continue to decline as they have been, is to make it available to everyone come back on campus. And
not just the young family crowd.
Yeah, we just
for
have
the kids stuff. Yeah.
I know a couple different studies, and I don't want to share them right now, but I know a couple that are kind of coming. People who have expressed a desire to teach on Wednesday nights, and so we'll start communicating that soon, as soon as we're confident that we can. Which,
Sweet.
We're really close to being there.
Yeah.
So, so we'll have a lot of different classes, and it'll be
cool.
good. It'll be lively.
Yep.
I'm
pumped for that. Wednesday nights are always when that's kind of back, and we have dinner and stuff.
It's a beautiful night.
It is. It sort of is like an anchor point in the week.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like it's like a saving grace kind of thing.
Right.
Where it's like there's Wednesday night.
Yeah.
See my fam.
Yeah.
Fam. Cool. Well.
All right.
Is there anything else you got, Pastor Garrett?
No.
No. All right, thanks you guys for
I'll let you get some sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to Segan's first. Oh, shout out to Hutch Segan. It's his birthday today.
Ah, fun.
Boom.
Happy birthday,
Nailed
Hutch.
it.
Yeah.
I was told I would get a bigger slice of cake if I shouted it out. So, gotta make sure I do that.
Cool.
So hey, we'll see you guys this weekend in person or online.
Yeah,
if you're still at home, and
We'll
then
solve that capacity issue soon.
yeah, the capacity issue will be soon, and so everybody will be here. And remember, second weekend next month, not the first. You'll be in service with us.
Right. On April 1st for Monday, Thursday.
Right. You'll, see, I'm not giving you an option. Like, you have to. You'll be with us. Okay. So cool. All right, guys.
Thanks, Steven.
Yeah, let me make sure I know how to get out of this before we just sit here
start
awkward here.
the post-camera talk.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. God's blessings to you all.